Peace, everyone. How you doing? Welcome to the podcast. Today's title and topic is Who Popularized the Term YouTube Streets? The dirty sector won't tell you. But we have a special guest here with us today on the phone, my brother, Dollar Skills, and he's going to start the conversation. You got the floor now, Dollar.
What up, bro? What's good?
You got the floor. Who popularized the term YouTube Streets? Give us your point of view.
Well, from what I saw, you got a comment from me as far back as 2018
We finna find that now.
on the wall of this platform speaking about YouTube streets. Now, I saw the video you did a little earlier, and that's what kind of prompted this. I put a comment on the wall. I think it's your first video, not the one right before this, but the one before that, where I know that based on my comment around 2018, from my recollection, you're the first person I ever heard put the term YouTube and streets together as far back as around 2017. And I let it be known that based on my comment in 2018, it shows that the term wasn't made right when I made the comment. We were already using the term. At the time, I was your chat mod. You had other moderators, people like Nerd Live, and all of us were pretty much helping with the platform. So the first time I heard you say YouTube Streets was around 2017. And it was around the time that the back and forth with you and Hassan started. Now, another thing that I think people don't understand about the dirty sector is I would even credit you to not starting the dirty sector, but kicking off what started the dirty sector as it relates to Kev Gills. So, like a lot of people who might be new to YouTube, they don't realize the history. And I got to see you on I Smoke. I saw most of it, not all of it. But I saw them like different content creators giving their perspective of the dirty sector. And I just want to break it down that the whole dirty sector was really created off the back, in my opinion, because I was around as far back as 2015. So you're talking 11 years ago was when I started rocking with the Israel Doctrine platform. And somewhere around 2017, when you had Hassan Campbell do an interview with you, and then the fallout happened between you, him, Kev Gills, and the YouTuber Conscious Speculation. That was when the term dirty got put on a YouTuber before the sector was created. The first YouTuber ever called dirty was Kev Gills. And the background on why Kev started getting called dirty, and I'll say he was being called dirty by Hassan Campbell. But I'm going to say you prompted that because another thing that I feel like you were the first person that I ever heard say on YouTube is the term narrative, right? So I got to give this background so it all lines up to how the dirty sector was created from my point of view. And basically, the word narrative, the first time I ever heard somebody speak about narrative-based companies was Israel Doctrine. And I'll tell you something that we spoke about in the private after 2015, somewhere around 2016, Israel Doctrine sent me a breakdown of a company out of Georgia. I don't remember the company, but it involved narratives. And we had private discussions where he totally explained to me that he understood that everything that was going on online was based on narratives. So now, in comes Hassan Campbell, Africa Bambaataa, and the first person that called Hassan out on his BS, I'm going to say, was Tommy Sotomayor, but then Conscious Speculation. Conscious Speculation, which is a channel that has a lot of questionable things around that. I won't get too deep into that. He called a scam alert on Hassan Campbell. But at the same time, Israel Doctrine had just interviewed Hassan, and he too started to question things. So it was kind of right around the same time the scam alert was called. Carl got into a back and forth with Conscious Speculation, and he was telling him, stop dirtying up my narrative. So that's why I brought up the term narrative, because the first time dirty was being put in front of something was when Israel Doctrine was arguing with different YouTubers that was taking different topics about Hassan off his platform and dirtying up the narrative. And Kev Gills is one of them as well, because Kev Gills was the one who was working with Hassan and told him to get the money, as opposed to what Israel Doctrine told him, which was start an organization for the children. Now, in the process of Hassan and Kev Gills' interaction, Kev Gills started to join in on the What Happened to the Boy movement that was started by Israel Doctrine. And then that's when Hassan was using the term, I let Kev Gills all in my intimacy, and then he stabbed me in the back, and he started calling him Dirty Cash, which is basically also around another incident. The first shocking incident that Hassan ever did on the internet was when he attacked Kev Gill's children and said that he would statutorily rape them, and he made a video which also ties to Israel Doctrine, because Kev Gills would have never got that video if Israel Doctrine wasn't up watching YouTube late at night, and he saw the live and saw Hassan attacking his children, and he sent Kev Gills that video. Now, that brings us to another thing, because it just so happens that, and I don't know who actually did this, but the story was told that video prompted Kev Gill's children's mother to call the FBI. That was the first time the FBI got dispatched into the community as it relates to Hassan. It was tied to video threats that he made against Kev Gills, and allegedly Kev Gill's child's mother was like, I'm not playing around with this YouTube stuff. I'm going to the authorities. And the feds was called. And that is when Hassan really started to call Kev Gills Dirty Kev. But I'm going to say he still piggybacked that for Israel Doctrine, because Israel Doctrine was also getting at Kev Gills for coming into certain narratives and dirtying them up. And he would constantly say, y'all stop dirtying up my narratives. So in my opinion, Hassan didn't just put the dirty in front of Cash, right? So now you got Dirty Cash. And he, for about a year or two, he was calling him dirty. Now, this is my take after watching the I Smoke thing, because I got to hear some of the other YouTubers, people like Matt Mean, and I'm aware of him. He told his point of view. And I do know that when Hassan did another shocking incident where he was allegedly caught on a corner store bodega camera pulling out a gun on some teenagers he was having an altercation with, Matt Mean's platform was used to push that video. So he's not technically wrong when he says that that's the first time that he heard Dirty Sector from Hassan calling him Dirty Sector, but he wasn't around in the days of the Dirty Cab and all of the things that led into what created the Dirty Sector. Now, I'm going to just give my last spin on the Dirty Sector. At a point, Israel Doctrine had total autonomy and control over the algorithm as it relates to Hassan. And that's the reason why they had to get rid of his channel, Israel Doctrine Reloaded, which is still pending litigation on that channel being taken, because it was taken by wrongful copyright strikes. But my point of bringing that up is, based on the fact that that channel was there and it was going at Hassan, and it had the algorithm, Hassan slowly had to start dispatching other YouTubers to create negative content against him to try to get his algorithm back. So I'm not saying Matt Mean, Bullets, Gotti, and all of those other dudes, I Smoke, but what I will say is they definitely all, in one way or another, been dirtying up narratives, or not getting certain narratives correct. That was the key with Israel Doctrine. He was only pushing content that he could prove, or that he could cross-reference with audio or real, actual interviews, articles. He wasn't just sitting back like, let me make up some fake content or fake news and just start spreading it about dudes. It was always about what could be proven. So these dudes was dirtying up the narrative, And that's when Hassan took the dirty and put Scepter on it. But again, it all was built off the back of what was going on with him and Israel Doctrine. Because Israel Doctrine was the first one that understood that it's narratives, and his company deals in narrative-based issues. So he was telling dudes, stop dirtying up his narrative. And Kev Gills is one of the dudes he was telling that to. So Hassan took that and then said, dirty Kev. Then he dispatched a bunch of YouTubers, or certain YouTubers that was watching, they came out and started making their own content, and a lot of them got raised up because they realized that if you go against Hassan, but you don't go at him all the way like Israel Doctrine, they're going to put you in position. Because they've been trying to protect Hassan since he came on the internet talking about Bambaataa molested him and all of this stuff about the boy and all of that. They've been trying to run interference and protect him. So that's the breakdown on the dirty sector. Now the YouTube streets, Hassan Campbell had and I saw certain videos of him having the audacity to claim that he created the YouTube streets. That dude is a bold-faced liar. YouTube Streets was started on the Israel Doctrine Reloaded platform, and it just so happened that one of my comments is on this platform, which has actually been on YouTube since 2008.
19 to be exact.
No, I'm talking about the main channel, 2008, if I'm not correct. You've been on YouTube since 08, 09. So what I'm saying is the comment I made about the YouTube streets was on this platform, and then the other platform that they took is where it really started in 2017. Because YouTube streets, you wasn't really using this channel to get at Hassan. You were using the one that had the 1 million views. It just so happened that you must have did a video on this channel, and that's why I put the comment in 2018, 2019.
No, let's talk about it a little bit.
Before that, on the Reloaded channel, about 2017, that's the first time I heard you say the term. We was all in the chat. So when I put the comment on the wall on this channel, you could see by just looking at the comment, it's not like it started when I put it on the wall. It was already in play.
All right.
You got to go back a little bit before, but that's it.
I had a stroke. I had a stroke, and this is not the dirty sector. We don't get out here and make lies up like they've been lying that we do.
Yeah, that was like I said, they created that platform and atmosphere so that they could take away from the real, even the fact Hassan made the channel Real Topics, that shit is piggybacked off you because you was the one making Real Topics. See, that's the thing. Like, all this shit, you're the grandfather to this shit. I don't give a fuck what nobody tells me because I was around, like I said, as far back as 2015. So I know everything that happened even before Hassan came out and became famous on YouTube. At the time that you dealt with Hassan, he was in the trash heap of YouTube. After everybody heard his story in 2016, nobody was checking for him. And that's when you reached out to him and did the interview. They only repositioned him because he dealt with you, and then when you started dealing with him, they was like, we got to get him back in position because we can't let Israel Doctrine get popping. Then you made your own lane because you started getting at Hassan about what he was doing, conscious speculation, and even Kev Gills was your co-defendant. So they don't have a history. Nobody in the YouTube streets has a history that can usurp that. You're somebody that had real court cases with other YouTubers in the real courts that could show the history and timeline of when these things were being created. Now, this is the last thing I'll say. Y'all dudes owe this brother here a lot of money, because the YouTube streets and all of that shit became super popular. I've heard people at the top echelon of hip-hop and media say that term, and yes, it was piggybacked off of watching dudes like Hassan and other YouTubers, but they lying about where they got the term from, and you got the history and the channels and everything to prove that shit. let alone other shit that dudes done stole from your platform. You're the first person that I ever seen max Google Hangouts back in those days and do 8-hour live streams. Like dudes sitting up on YouTube for hours now, you're the first dude that was doing that. Everybody else was doing uploads. You was going live all day long. Different brothers would come in and you would have panels all throughout the day because certain people worked or whatever, and then they would come in and jump in, and it would be an 8-hour live stream. Dudes, they took so much stuff from your platform. And again, you've been around since about 2008, so none of them have a grandfather channel that could even match the history that you got when you really break it down. And in the back, if that stuff on the Reloaded channel is brought back to the surface, like how you got all your channels back before, it would really crush them, because the Reloaded channel had everything that proves the timeline, but you got enough to prove it without it. So either way, it's a win on both sides. That's it, man. I just wanted to let the dirty sector dudes know that Israel Doctrine grandfathered y'all sector by default. He didn't create it, but they took it off his back, because when he was dealing with Cab, Conscious Speculation, and Hassan Campbell in 2017, that's when the dirty term came up, and then y'all all jumped in the fight, and then y'all got called the dirty section of YouTube. But that was even created as a counterweight to the YouTube streets, because they knew that Israel Doctrine created that. So they wanted it from day one, but they had to create an alternate sector called the dirty sector to buffer that. Another sector, the beef sector. All of this stuff comes from what used to be called the black sector. Because back in 2015 and 2016, when Israel Doctrine was, I'll say this, it was him and in the black media. So what now is Hip Hop News Uncensored, that super big platform that interviewed every artist on the planet? I'm going to say they only put Old God from In the Black in position because of what he was doing with Israel Doctrine. Because they was the only two platforms at that time in the conscious community that was reporting any real news on what was going on with Polite and all of the different figures in the conscious community. So in order to get old God off of that, they gave him the Hip Hop News Uncensored lane. And that's how he was able to spin off and do what he's doing. But those were the only two platforms even doing anything like you see the beef sector or the dirty sector or any of those YouTubers doing. And I'm just going to say it, not exactly what they're doing, because they were reporting on real news that they could prove or that was backed up by shit. They wasn't just making these wild tales with transgenders and all of this stuff. That's new age stuff that they brought in to dirty it up and confuse the audience on who's really telling the truth. And then they try to place Carl in them sectors in order to try to discredit him when he's really the grandfather to why they created the sectors, and then he runs the YouTube streets. So that's that. And no other YouTuber, unless you could show me you was around in 2015, 16, 17, and other YouTubers that was using this terminology or even doing any of this stuff, that should just defeat all of the BS. So I just wanted to set the record straight. The YouTube street started in 2017. The dirty sector started later on the back of Dirty Cab. So if Cab is Jesus, then Israel Doctrine is the grandfather. He's the one that Cab went out and did things, but not everything Cab did, because Cab did a lot of stuff that Israel Doctrine would tell him, stop dirtying up the narrative. And that's just it.
So, have you heard some of my latest stuff where I put my legal spin on it? Because everybody think I want to fight and stuff. I don't want to fight. I'm tired of fighting. But I will fight because I'm a fighter. But I put a legal spin out there to let Troy know, let Layla know, let Marcy and everybody else know that I know. Can you speak on that, or you want to speak on that? You heard it?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that I'll say to that is, look, man, certain issues get settled in courts and certain issues get settled out of court. They would be wise to try to settle with you out of court, because to me, based on at least what I know, the evidence you got, it's gonna, if this hits a court of law, it's gonna destroy certain organizations by default of what went on this internet. So the smarter thing to do, I don't know what the hate is the brother, y'all owe this brother a bag, and it ain't no extortion. It's just all legal work. In law, if you do something wrong, you have a right to settle things with the accused in the private. Y'all better figure out a way to get through to this brother and speak to him, because based on what I know, it's going to be a problem. Because I've been saying that since I've been around this stuff. Y'all did a lot, and Bam passing away is making it worse. Like, it doesn't go away. It's too much people that was involved. They should have never reached out past the internet. Every time I speak about it, I say that the minute that they try to get you and locked up and all of that, they made this a part of your life. And by default, the stuff that YouTube has done with your platforms and everything, you do so much money. The shadow banning and all of that stuff, the loss of your channels, the algorithmic, it's called algorithm discrimination. The algorithm discrimination that has been done on your platform to cover up real crimes, the false claims that have been put in with various agencies of the police in various states, the federal government. Like I said, this shit started with Kev Gill's wife allegedly calling the FBI. Then after that, Mac Mean talking about Hassan pulling out guns. So let's just look at this historically. The last thing to my knowledge that happened is Hassan allegedly got shot in the projects, threatening the tenements of Bronx River houses. So when you run that back to when Kev called the FBI and you look at all the stuff, him pulling out guns, him getting shot, I don't know how they're going to be able to weed that dude is corrupt and he's been on this internet lying to the police, running up in the police stations and putting in false. He's done a lot. And he's not out of what he's done, by the way. I don't care if he sits next to Mace and all of these dudes. That just makes it worse. Like, that exposes more who's involved. The reality of it is, y'all owe this brother a bag. That's my take on his legal issues. I don't know it all, but I think his legal case is strong with YouTube. And it's definitely strong because y'all don't use the courts and everything. You misuse the police in his state, all other states. It's a lot of trouble. Then you're out here and you're still pushing false narratives about the dirty sector and lying about the YouTube streets too. You guys don't get enough. My thing is, the dirty sector was created by Kev Gills, Dirty Kev. That's who's y'all father for real. Now, the YouTube streets is ours. We created that over here, and none of y'all dudes got no history that could trump the YouTube streets because that terminology went all the way to the top of the food chain in the industry. Everybody using the term, but they don't want to pay homage to where it came from. So that's just it. And this narratives, man, dirty narratives started the dirty cash. Because Carl knew narratives and he was yelling at conscious speculation, stop dirtying up my narratives. He was telling Kev, stop dirtying up my narrative. And then Hassan, when Kev turned on him, he was like, dirty Kev. Then he made the dirty sector, and a lot of the niggas in the dirty sector is working with Hassan. That's just old school. These are topics we dealt with in 2015 before any of this. Israel Doctrine, the one that was telling everybody the conscious community makes a lot of money running control opposition. Control opposition is just having the people believe that there's fake beef that's real. So you got a lot of YouTubers making content and then people rally behind them like, oh, you going against Hassan. We don't like Hassan. But they don't realize that these YouTubers is working with Hassan. That's control opposition. All of that control opposition was created to deal with the real opposition. And the real opposition was Israel Doctrine was opposing all of the fuckery that they was getting ready to bring to the community back in 2016 and 17. And when you fast forward 10 years, they've been tearing y'all up ever since. Robbing you, giving you fake news, fake entertainment. Y'all are patronizing these dudes and you're hating on the dudes that was here warning you and bearing the brunt of the real shit in courts and all kind of shit. Y'all are in a lot of trouble. Best bet would be to settle with this brother. Because if you don't settle, it is my humble opinion that you're going to lose it all. You're going to lose it all. Messing around with Hassan. Y'all haven't got him off the internet yet. We told y'all to get him off the internet because he's going to destroy all of y'all by default. And he's still on the internet, and I'm here to tell you it's coming. It's coming. If y'all don't bear heed, if y'all don't bear witness and listen to what I'm telling you now, in 2026, summertime coming in, we'll speak again real soon. And that's it. I ain't gonna make no threats. I'm just telling y'all, it's not a good look.
And that's what happened. That's what happened. You told them back then, they didn't listen. That's how you got here. Believe me, I know.
Yeah, man. You know, it's like when you're the parent and you're telling your child something and they want to touch the stove. Well, then, you know, don't cry foul ball when the stove is hot. We told you. Like, I've been telling them every chance I get. This stuff y'all did to Brother Carl, from my perspective, is not a good look. And I know him personally enough to say we don't talk about coming up with no fake narrative. He's always trying to keep the integrity of his platform. Though y'all tend to pull him in the mud at times, the brother is sincere and been that way from day one. I've never spoke to this brother and he gave me any idea that he's trying to come up with some fake narratives and get on this internet playing around. He's really defending himself from my perspective, because y'all been attacking just to keep this nigga Hassan in play, and Hassan screwed all of y'all. When I really look at a lot of the people helping him, y'all made a lot of money as a collective, but individually he got all the money. He's sitting on his couch and shit, laughing at you niggas while you out here. And every video chance he get from the stuff I see, he's planting emotional seeds in your head about loyalty and all of that. Because he's telling y'all, if any one of y'all break the chain of command, he's telling all of y'all that nigga is not rocking with y'all. He's just using y'all based off emotionalism, because he knows that the shit that he did, when it comes back around for him, he's finished. I don't care who he thinks he's working with lawyers or anything. None of that's going to protect what he did.
All right, I appreciate your conversation, brother. But yes, the people kind of running, so we going to run too.
Yep, we going to run and hide. That's it, bro. Peace.
Peace. So with that said, y'all, leave comments about what you think. Y'all know the phone number. It's on the other video if you don't know, 731 so-and-so, whatever. Get the number. I might entertain you. With that said, leave a comment. Let me know what you think. Peace.